Okay, we are recording. That looks yummy, Michelle. Welcome everybody to the team call. Tonight's our coach spotlight, and I'm excited because we are spotlighting a hubby. Michael's going to be speaking to us tonight, and actually, I asked you, Elizabeth, to send me info, but then I thought I'll let you. You should intro your own husband, not me. That would be weird. But I do want to say this. I think it's really cool when you guys, meaning literally you guys, like Peter's talked before, and Trent talked one time on goals a while back. Courtney's talked on essentialism. Anytime that your husband has value to add, we are a team. Whether you actively coach or not, you're actively supporting the family. You know what I mean? And so I think it's important, and it's really awesome that you're taking the time to speak to us tonight. And so these two are awesome. They get up and work out and power hour or not personally develop together. So I'll let you introduce him and kind of share what y'all are going to talk about, but I just wanted to thank you for making the time to do this. It's really cool.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So Michael is mainly going to be doing the talking because he has a lot to cover. He's very knowledgeable. He is going to be talking about a book that he just finished called Extreme Ownership. It's by Jocko Willink, who was an ex-Navy, or is he a Navy SEAL?
No, ex-Navy SEAL.
You can intro yourself. No, so yeah, so he's going to be talking about extreme ownership, and I'm looking at his outline, prioritizing and executing, and discipline equaling freedom. All right, I'm going to hand it
over. Super good intro. Love it. Yeah, so first of all, extreme ownership. I mean, as far as being qualified, I don't know about that, but I do love extreme ownership. I've been listening to Jocko for quite a while. He has a nice podcast where he highlights leadership characteristics, leadership qualities, and also reviews books. It's really long, even when you listen to it double speed, but very worth it for a lot of them. But extreme ownership is just taking responsibility for the success and failure for anything in your life. And that can be hard a lot of times for a leader to own everything in their sphere, because you see a lot of times that people just want to make excuses. You blame your poor performance on bad luck or on circumstances beyond your control. For example, if you wanted to go on a date, I wanted to take Elizabeth on a date, and I decided to do an outdoor event, and then it rains, and it's like, oh man, our plans got ruined. That's not my fault. I can't control the weather. But extreme ownership would say, why didn't I have a contingency plan for the event that it's raining? I want to be able to take her out on a date still, so I needed to, if I was taking ownership of that, I should have had something else to do in that event. An example that he starts the book off with, Jocko does, he says that he was in Iraq, and he was in a war in the war zone there, and it ended up happening that his troops were firing on his own troops, and so friendly fire, which is the most disastrous thing that could happen. Luckily, there was only one casualty, but it was hours where they were fighting each other. And so his superiors had to come in, because anytime something like that happens, it's, a huge deal. And so he was just there and thinking about, whose fault this could be. And it ended up, he called together all of his troops, and he was like, whose fault was it that we ended up firing on each other? And so, this person would come up and say, it was me. I could have done this better to prevent this. And this other person said, oh, no, it could have been me. And each time Jocko's like, no, that's just not true. Really, it's my fault, because I'm the leader of this entire command, and it's up to me to put you guys in positions to succeed. And I didn't do that. And so, that can be a really humbling experience, but a very, very freeing experience. For example, just recently, I'm a teacher, and I've been struggling with classroom management. And Steubenville City Schools are not known for their amazing kids or anything like that. But like in my head, all I want to say is, like, man, these kids are just so disrespectful. It's all their fault. Like, they never, like, why wouldn't they respect me? Like, I've never done anything to them or anything. It's the parents' fault because they never taught their kids to respect their teachers. Like, that's something that, I grew up with. Why wouldn't they? But I was reading Extreme Ownership during this time, and it was just like, you know what? Like, no, it's my fault. Like, I created the classroom environment. I didn't take control of the classroom environment to the point where there was only respect, where I only accepted respect. And so I had to like have that humbling experience of, going into my principal and saying, my classroom management is terrible. And so, with that, they were able to, give me help with that. In terms of, I was thinking about applications for Beachbody coaches, because obviously you guys aren't all teachers like me. But I was talking to Elizabeth about just the different excuses that can come into your head. Especially like the busyness of mom life or just the busyness of life. You go anywhere nowadays. It's like, oh, how are you guys? Oh, I'm busy. I have this going on. Like, look how many things I have going on in my life. It's just not even, it's humorous, but it's the truth. Everyone's just so busy all the time. And, as a mom, you might have to drive your kids places. All right. You have a baby who's not following the schedule. You have, you have to take care of chores around the house, meal prep, meal planning, all that stuff. And all those excuses just come in. But Extreme Ownership says, it's just, you have to own that. You have to take care of that. How important to you is your business? If your business isn't where you want it to be, that's on you, right? There are things that you can do. And sometimes you have priorities and you say that my priority is to be with my family. All right. But you have to be okay with that, with your, putting your family above your business or, whatever it might be. But in terms of like driving kids places, are you doing everything that you can, to still get in your power hour? So setting aside time in your schedule, and planning for disruptions. I remember I was an RA and I decided to take on like a billion things because that's just the person I am. I like to take on a billion things and it's awesome. And I would have to, I'd say from 5 until 6, I'd do a holy hour. And then from 6 until 6:30, I'd eat breakfast. And then 6:30 to 6:45, I'd get ready for school. The first day it worked out maybe a little bit. But I wasn't taking into consideration, those distractions, those times where you have to transition. And so like, as, moms, as functioning adults with, more things going on in your life than just Beachbody, right? You have to really just not make a best case scenario plan, but make an all-encompassing plan. I don't remember the last time any of my plans ever went exactly according to plan every single moment that I made it. And so like, you need to be making a plan that says, in the event that my child wants to have a terrible day, what am I going to do? Right. I mean, in the event that this happens, that, I'm sure it's happened before, right? We all have bad days. And so it's happened before, it's going to happen again. And so you're just not taking into consideration, you need to make a plan for that case. So something I was talking to Elizabeth about, that you guys talk about all the time is like mom cracks. You're a mother and you have, spare bits of time. And you can do portions of your power hour. You can do portions of whatever work you need to do at a time. But something that you might want to think about is just writing down how long each of those things take you. So like for, say you're really good at inviting or something and it takes 10 minutes to invite people to this, that, or the other. Write down that it takes you 10 minutes to do that because when you have a spare 10 minutes, when you have a spare 5 minutes, when you have time, how much time you have theoretically, and write down how long each of the things take so you can actually use your time wisely. But in terms of, some people don't work well with just doing a portion at a time. Elizabeth loves to block her schedule, and that's the only way she'll get her power hour done. That's the only way that she'll be able to get everything done that she needs to. And so, you have to make a plan for that, right? It's not a bad thing that you have to block off time versus being able to, portion it off or whatever. But you have to know yourself to the point where, you can have someone come over so you can get work done, or you can have your husband take care of the kids, or, take care of some of the responsibilities. But I mean, I guess with that, if you are having someone else come watch your kids, or watch, if you have your husband do something for you, don't take advantage of it. Have a plan for what you're going to do with that time. There's nothing more frustrating when, you're doing something as a favor for someone else, and they aren't even using that time wisely. So like when you have that opportunity where, your husband takes the kids for an hour so you can get work done, have a plan for your hour, and then like, that's not a time to be distracted by Facebook, just scrolling or something like that.
He's speaking from experience.
Only a little bit. And so, I mean, have a plan of attack where, what you want to get done and how it would be getting done. Use your resources, whatever they might be, because you have all the time YMCA memberships. If you have one of those, all right, they give you the 2 free hours of daycare. Everyone has resources around them. It's just a matter of whether or not you want to take the time to figure out how to use those. I mean, how much does it matter for you to get this done? If you need that block time, if you need the portion time, whatever it is, how much does it matter to you for you to do something about it? And in terms of taking care of the house and meals, Elizabeth loves to meal prep and meal plan, and that's helpful. I can't remember the number of times when I was growing up where my parents would be like, "So what do you want for dinner?" And I was like, "I don't know. What do we have?" And we would spend a good half hour trying to figure out what we wanted, and then another hour cooking it. So now it's an hour and a half past when we're hungry, and then we make bad choices, whatever. And then I guess one piece of advice that I heard that doesn't exactly apply to extreme ownership, but has to deal with just your life. A lot of times you can get overwhelmed by the struggle, or not by the struggle, by the mountainous amount of work that you have to do. And there's a lot of clutter in your house or whatever. Some really good advice that I heard is just, if it takes a minute or less, do it immediately. You get in the house and you're taking off your shoes and you're taking off your coat. It takes all of 10, 15 seconds to put them where they need to go. And so that way your clutter isn't piling up all around you. If it takes more time, I'm not talking about like, oh, it only takes me 3 seconds to put this toy away and then 4 seconds to put that toy away. Obviously group things together that are similar, but, and then make time for that, however much time you need. And then stack things together that you want to get done. For me, I wanted to pray a rosary every day, and I always struggled to remember to do that. And I always struggled to remember, to make the bed. I wanted to do that every morning, and there were brush my teeth, take a shower, and floss my teeth. And so now every time I'm done with my workout, I turn on my rosary, a podcast rosary. I bring it upstairs with me. I make the bed, and I shower, I floss, and I brush my teeth. And it works really easily because it's a routine that I'm able to do every single day. And then one thing about, another complaint Elizabeth voiced to me was, if you don't have like a warm market, or, just enough people that are interested in Beachbody, or people who
as like one of the top excuses for like why you're not getting your work done.
Yeah.
Why you're not doing your power hour.
Yeah. And so, just connecting with people in all varieties, right? Is it worth it to you for your post or your whatever it is that you're doing to reach one person, right? Do you believe in Beachbody enough where that, you think that it can change lives? Is it enough to change one person's life? Because like you post, you might post 3 or 4 times a day, but if you look at it and you only see 3 likes and you're like, wow, that's kind of discouraging. Like only 3 people liked my post about this, right? But 3 people liked it, right? 3 people saw it and it meant something to them. And I mean, for me, I'm the least interactive person on Facebook in the entire world. But I still read things and it's like, wow, that was a good post or whatever. You know, like you're not just, it's not just based on the outside success of, you know, I got this many likes or this many comments of like, oh, I'll jump right in or whatever. You know, it should be enough to see, you know, even just for it to be there, right? You're providing an opportunity for them to have the life that they want, right? And that's what you desire for them. The next thing is just prioritizing and executing. This is really big for, you know, problems always come all at once. You know, we just got back from the weekend at my parents' house, and our house is a disaster right now, which is something that's like I hate. I can't deal with that very well. And
I
so,
don't mind it.
yeah. But like all these problems that you have, they snowball, and they, you know, they each have their own challenges. They each have they're very complex in their own right. And they each demand your attention, however much time that might be. And so it all happens at once. And it can be overwhelming. For Elizabeth, if there's so much going on that she needs to get done, it's like she shuts down. And that's how a lot of people are, right? You get that, and you're just like, I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to nap. You know, like that's how I'm going to deal with this issue of so much getting done. But if you want to, you know, if you want to work on this, the best way to prioritize and execute is really just to stay ahead of your problems. Again, you know that problems are going to come up. You know what likely scenarios are going to happen. You have children who are going to be distracting. You're going to have days where, you know, your motivation is very, very poor. And if you have no plan there, then you're going to be way behind the 8 ball, and that's where you lose a lot of your progress. You need to have a plan in place. Like, wow, I am starving and I have eaten all my food and I just want to eat an Aldi pizza. That's the story of Elizabeth and I's life. Aldi pizza is life. And you know, like that's all you want. You're just like, I just want to get an Aldi pizza. All right. We have a plan in place for, we just want Aldi pizza. Like, how are we going to deal with that? Because we both like Aldi pizza. Aldi pizza is not a bad thing in and of itself. But you know, you know what scenarios are going to occur. So have a plan in place. And then with that, practice your contingency plans. I have not met one athlete in my entire life who has ever done anything and not practiced it. You have the Philadelphia Eagles, right? They just won the Super Bowl. They had an amazing play. I don't know if any of you guys actually watch or follow football, but in the Super Bowl, they had an amazing play right before halftime. It was a trick play, right? Do you think that they just were like, you know what? Let's draw this up from scratch. Let's just, you know, big moment here. We got to score. Let's just do whatever. Whatever seems right. No, like they had a play. They practiced that play a lot. All right, and then they executed it, and they did it well. You know, with teaching, with procedures, I can tell my kids once what to do, and they will forget probably in the next 20 seconds. All right, so it's so important for me to practice with them. Right, you have to walk through exactly what you want to happen each time, and that way it's muscle memory. You know, you don't want your gut reaction to be, well, I want an Aldi pizza. It's like, oh, I want an Aldi pizza. Oh, this is what I do. Then, as a leader of your business, of your life, of your household, whatever it might be, you are a leader. And part of that is staying above the details. A lot of times you get caught up in the minutia, the little things that need to happen right at this exact moment. And you need to stay above that and have a strategic picture of what needs to happen. So whether that's, you know, you have X, Y, and Z, and that needs to happen around the house, you need to be able to prioritize for your role in life. So if you have kids coming home in the next 30 minutes and you're starving and going to be a terror to them, you need to you need to get some food in you before you are not bad, but you don't act the way that you should towards your kids. And so, for us, we recently, as I said, we came home and it was like 8 things that we had to do all at once. So we had to grocery shop, we had to make dinner for the night, we had to feed Madeline, feed ourselves, put things away. And so we came in, we went grocery shopping. That was the most important thing. This goes into the order of how to implement things. So you have to pick the highest priority problem, whatever that might be. For us, it was getting groceries because we had no food at home. And then you need to lay out in simple, clear, and concise terms what that is to your team. So talk to your husband, talk to your kids, this is the most important thing that we have to get done. All right. If it's just your business, you're just talking to yourself, right? You have to tell yourself, I need to get this done. This is the most important thing. In order for me to be a peaceful mom, I need to get my workout done. That's the most important thing right now. And if I get that done, then it's just one thing off the list and I can keep going. So after you determine what exactly you need to do, you need to find a solution for it. Find a way to work out. I don't know if you saw Elizabeth's thing today. She needs to work out in the morning, and Madeline wanted to be awake at 6 a.m. And so Elizabeth got an extra workout of holding a baby. Did she have to modify things? Yeah, but you have to, find a way to get it done. That the highest important thing, and seek input from the other people in your family. So for if you're married, asking your husband, right? Can you take care of this while I take care of this? All right, could you take care of the kids so I could get this workout done? By now, I'm sure that your husbands, understand this can be a very important thing, and they see the importance that it is for you. After you determine the solution, you need to just execute the solution. All right, put all of your effort and all of your energy into getting that one thing done. For me, I am the worst person. I'll just be like, all right, I'm going to clean the dining room. And then it's like, all right, this stuff goes to the living room. Oh, wow, the living room needs to be cleaned as well. Maybe I'll just start here. And I'll just distract myself with all these billions of things I need to get done. And my goal was to get the dining room done, right? So put all of your effort into getting the dining room done, getting everything, just getting the one thing done. So that way it's done. And then move on to the next highest thing and repeat it. And so you get more done staying on task that way than you would if you are going from room to room picking up 1 or 2 things. The way that our minds work, if you can invest yourself into one thing and just do that, it's so much better. Elizabeth was telling me, sometimes I'll get distracted I'll look in and see that there are some dishes to do. It's 3 dishes. The amount of time that it takes to do 3 dishes versus the time it takes you to stop doing your power hour, stop doing whatever it is that you're trying to do, go do the dishes and come back and get reacclimated to it is very, very tough. It's better and more efficient. You'll get more done if you just stay with your power hour, get that done, and then, save all your dishes at once, because then you can do all of that at once. And then the last part of implementing it is just not letting your focus on one priority cause you to be, tunnel visioned on that. So you're like, I need to get my power hour done. There's 15 minutes left before the kids come home. And, that's all that matters right now. You have to be able to maintain, some peripherals and see what other problems might be coming up. So you might be getting really hungry. And then, you need to take care of that more so than you need to take care of the rest of your power hour. And you need to find a time to do that later. So again, stay back a little bit so you can see some of those problems. Don't get too focused on just one thing. The last part is how discipline equals freedom. This is something that I just love for my entire life. You want, there's so much that I want in my own life, and I'm sure that there's so much that you want from your own life. And the only way that you can get there is by being disciplined. I wanted to when I was in college. I wanted to take max credits. I wanted to be an RA. I wanted to be engaged, and I wanted to be active in the household and play sports. And that took a lot of discipline. And for me, that meant giving up sleep. All right, I understand not everyone can just give up sleep. You have to figure out what the most important thing is, all right, and work towards that. And so it might seem like kind of a dichotomy, discipline equals freedom. Yeah, so just said such a paradox. That's exactly what I was going to say, because I mean it's just like most things in our faith, right? We believe in a God who died for us, right? God who died, and all these other these paradoxes where it doesn't make sense, in your head, but when you apply it, it does, right? You have the discipline to wake up early. You have more time. You have more free time. You follow a plan for when you go to bed. You get more sleep. Right? It frees you to do these. So one of the examples you gave in the book, you have the discipline to wear your helmet and all your gear all of the time. And you have the freedom to go ahead and move freely in those things. Something else I was thinking about with it is that the discipline is the most important thing if you want to achieve victory, if you want to achieve success. Because if you're not disciplined, even in the little things, you're not going to be disciplined in the large matters. You think about, the topic of like sacrifice, right? If you can't, sacrifice, Dr. Bergsma, he teaches at Franciscan. He's one of my favorite professors of all time. He was talking about mortification and just sacrifice. And he's like, you know what? I just gave up butter on my toast. And it's like, no one's going to be impressed if you say, oh, look at me. I'm super good at this. I gave up butter on my toast. Like, no one's going to be impressed by that. But like having butter on your toast really sucks, right? Not doing something the exact way that you want it, dying to yourself, right? That really sucks, but that builds character. That helps you grow. And so you're disciplined in those little matters, right? Like getting up on time. For me, I was awesome at getting up on time, and then I had a baby, and then I was terrible at getting up on time, and it was just snooze for life. And so I just stopped setting alarms, and it was like I just let my day happen to me. And so what I had to do, I put my alarm clock in an entirely different room. It's the most annoying alarm clock in the world. And I have to walk probably 40 feet to get to my alarm clock in a different room. And I have all my clothes laid out there. And it's like, well, I made it over here, so I might as well stay up. And so, know yourself. Like, I couldn't get up if I just had my phone by my bed and I could hit snooze. But I'll get up if I go over to that other room and I have to turn off the alarm. And then something that can also help if you find yourself struggling with, missing power hours or missing your workouts or missing your nutrition plan. I was very, very bad with eating. And so I would eat way more portions than I wanted to. And it was just like, I'm hungry. And so something that I started is just saying not that I can't do this, I can't eat this, it's not part of my diet. It's not part of my lifestyle now. That's a bad thing to say. Because if you can't do it, then you really can. And so something I say is I don't. I don't eat food outside of my meal plan. I don't eat, I don't miss my prayer time in the morning. I don't hit snooze. And so when I find myself reaching over for that snack, it's no, I don't do that. And so telling myself that I don't do that, it gives me an expectation to live up to. And then the last part that I wanted to talk about really quick was just how about being a leader is all about balance. And so it's sort of like that paradox of discipline equals freedom. But a good leader, because honestly, you need to have emotion, right? Most leaders, they're like, oh, don't show any emotion, all that stuff. But leaders aren't robotic, right? For your posts and stuff, right? You can't just post about all the good things all the time because you're going to be unapproachable, right? You have someone who says wow, I don't want to reach out to them. They're perfect. I'm not perfect. Like I mess up. All right. So like posting about your vulnerabilities, that's huge. And then some of the other ones that he talks about in the group, or not in the group, but in the book, is how a good leader is competitive, but a gracious loser. They're attentive to details, but they're not obsessed by them. They're strong, but they have endurance. They're humble, but not passive. And so you have to find a balance between all of these things. You need to be aggressive, but not overbearing. You can pursue the good of someone else, and it can be hard, and you can be aggressive about it, but you're not overbearing with that. And then you need to be calm and logical, but you can't be robotic or devoid of feelings, right? So all of your life is striking a balance, and that's how it is for your business. That's how it is as a leader of your family, of whatever it is that God's calling you to do. And it all stems from discipline and just being faithful in those little matters. And so, like, especially with Lent right around the corner, really think about, like, how am I working to improve my discipline? Or how am I looking to maintain my discipline, right? Maybe you're really good at discipline, and that's awesome. That's well and good. But you need to, like, work to maintain that, right? Even the best athletes in the world, you look at LeBron James. LeBron James still practices, right? He needs to maintain what he has. And so you need to always be looking to improve your discipline. And so I guess that's just what I want to leave you with, is to look for ways to improve your discipline, even if it's just, a minutia amount, just a little bit every day. And that's all I have.
I love, I guess one of the points that really stuck out to me is when you're talking about really focusing and not breaking. If you're doing your power, don't stop and to do those dishes, or don't stop, but to really focus in on what you're doing and remain focused for that period of time. Brendan Burchard talked about that at Summit at the leadership event. And then Trent actually read a book called, it's called Deep Work. It's by,
Really good.
Pardon?
Courtney loves that book too.
Yeah. So it's by Malcolm. So, but anyway, the one thing that I thought also, I've not read the book, but the one thing that I can speak to is, I recently discovered I have sensory processing disorder, also extreme ADHD. And I used to get very frustrated when I would be in the middle of something and then someone would interrupt me, especially if I was doing a Facebook post or doing writing. If someone interrupted me, it would, especially when I was writing my book, I'd be in the middle of writing something, a kid would interrupt me, and it would completely lose my focus. The kid would come in, I would end up having the conversation, they would leave, and it took me a few minutes to get back into where I was at, and I'd have to reread and redo. So there's something to be said for time management, and one of the prayers I found myself saying more recently, especially because I know I have ADHD, I know I struggle with this focus, is, Lord, help me to honor this time that I have away from my family. Because exactly what you said is really important. It's something, again, like I've been just recently really focusing on. But you had a lot of really good points. So thank you for taking the time, definitely, to share. And I love you guys. Like, you guys are you're a new couple still. You're still new, and look at how you're starting your marriage out. Like, that is inspiring, to say the least. So
Yeah, thank you.
That was awesome. Yeah, I have lots of things I just underlined, starred, and circled in my notes. I'm like, I actually have one of his books. I think it's Extreme Leadership, but it might be Extreme Ownership. Does he only have one book? Maybe I have that book.
He has two, but Extreme Ownership is the main one, and then the other one is Discipline Equals Freedom.
Oh, then I must have the one you're talking about. Oh, yay. Yeah. So I can now buy a new book.
Yeah. It's a super easy read, too. It took me, it's like 300 pages, but it's kind of written, like, for kids almost. It was, like, a really nice break. And so each chapter is split up into 3 sections. So it'll be stories from his and another Navy SEAL's time in Iraq. And then, that's a big portion, how they used whatever principle they're talking about. And then they'll have the principle itself and talk about that. And then they'll have an application of business. So, yeah, it's probably one of the easiest reads that I've had in quite a long time.
Yeah, I really, just two things. That last part where you talked about with the virtue, kind of like virtue,
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of too with it.
do you have could you screenshot that section and post it in the page? Because I would love to print that off. And you know what I'm saying, when you were
Yeah.
saying a leader's balance, not robotic, like that whole.
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, I won't do that. My wife will,
I
because
can
I
just
don't know
send
how to
you.
do
I'll
that.
just send you his outline.
Okay. Yeah, because I thought that was because one of the things that you mentioned that I thought there were a lot of them, but what I really liked is when you talked about planning for disruptions, like when they're going to happen, and kind of having like a priority. So, if you have a crazy day and everyone's sick and the world's crazy, no, these are the three things I have to do today for my business. And that's all I have to do today. Or you know what I'm saying? Or I thought that was really good. And no, there were a lot of great points, Michael. This was really helpful. I took notes all over the place. So thank you. Because one of it's even at leadership this weekend, something she said that was what you were talking about is knowing how long something takes. Melanie Mitro talked about how she sets a timer for herself when she's doing her power hour, and when it's on her phone, and when the alert goes up, oh, my inviting time's done. Oh, my connecting time's done. Oh, because she said otherwise she can get easily sucked into.
Yeah, that's what I've had to start doing that for like my prayer time, separating it into like petitions and like praying for Thanksgiving and, thinking of people to pray for and, whatever I want to like have time for, I'll set a timer for it. And just, it makes it easy because it's like, okay, like I gave it time for that and now it's time to move on.
Yeah, this is really good. Now I'm excited too because I have the book. We have deep work too. I'm like, score, I have two of the books. I just haven't read them. This was really good. Thank you so much for sharing. Does anybody have any questions they want to ask or things they want to say? Feedback? All was good.
Thank you for taking the time to hop on and to share back with the team. I mean, this is one of the best things about our team is that we have some amazing people on here and we can always learn from each other. So
that was awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah,
well, thank you.
Yeah,
I will get the recording up, and so thanks again for making the time to be here.
Yeah. Thank you.
Have a great week.
All right, you too. I'm gonna go.
Bye.